welcome into A Toast of Film. I'm one of your hosts, Evo, and today, guys, you've heard him before. Now you're going to be seeing him as we make this transition to video. The one, the only, one of the only people on this planet who could possibly match my movie love. That is Corey Tatum.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Welcome back, Corey. And what it is, Corey, off the top of your head, how many times have you been to a theater this year?
Oh my gosh. If I had to guess, probably 35, maybe 40.
Corey, you gotta get those numbers up, man. You're an A-lister. So
I'm trying, dude.
I myself admit 59, no big deal.
What?
But one of us isn't married, so that makes a big difference.
That does make a big difference.
But we've seen some good. We've seen some bad. We've seen some disappointing. We've seen some surprises. And so I tasked Corey. I said, Corey, it's basically halfway through the year. We were trying to do it in July, but chaos ensued. So I was like, Corey, here's what I want you to do. We're going to do a top 13. I want best, I want surprises, I want bad, disappointments, and just one thing you want to talk about.
Okay.
So, guys, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're not wasting. I'm toasting with a nice Coca-Cola. Just got done with a run. And Corey, let's get into what are your 3 biggest disappointments as of August 4th.
All right. So, like you said, we've been to the theater a lot this year, seen a lot of good, a lot of bad, and there have been some disappointments. There have been films that I had really high hopes for. I was just like, they're gonna nail it. Like, I know based off of the history of the film or the director or the it'd be a sequel or something like that. I'm like, no problem. It won't be great. It won't be bad. It'll just be, good, a solid movie. Well, I had 3 of those. One of them being a sequel, which was my worst disappointing film, which was Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire.
Yeah.
Dude, like, I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan. I love the original. I even love the sequel, Ghostbusters 2. I even loved Afterlife.
Okay, that was going to be my question, because I know a lot of people who hate Afterlife.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed Afterlife. I thought it was a good, homage. They did a nice little sequel.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it brought it back to its roots. I thought it introduced some really good characters. It kind of did what The Force Awakens did for the Star Wars franchise. It's like it kind of repeats a lot of the same beats the Afterlife does, but with new characters, and it still has that same feel and that same energy to it. So based off of that, I really loved those characters. In Afterlife, I was excited to see what they were going to do next. I thought the promotion material looked really good. I thought that they advanced the technology with the whole drone and everything, maybe a new villain, yada, yada, yada. And, dude, I was just sorely disappointed. Like, the depth of the characters and relationships just kind of felt flat. It completely subsided from what they had built in Afterlife. I felt like they leaned so much on McKenna Grace's character.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like she's ready to lead a film yet. That was a lot of pressure to put on her. Not that she did anything bad, because I still think that her performance was good, but I don't feel like they made the right decision in leaning so much on her to carry the entire story and the entire film. So it was just disappointing to me. I thought the magic wasn't there. The comedy didn't work for me. There were some parts where it felt like they were doing the real Ghostbusters cartoon thing.
Yeah.
And introducing those little nuggets there, but it wasn't fleshed out enough. It wasn't fleshed out enough for me to really enjoy it. And I kept fighting with the movie while I was watching. I was like, do I like it? Do I not like it? Like, it was just a weird balance thing for me. And I just was sadly disappointed in what they delivered. I was just like, man, we were doing so well. Here we go again. We're probably gonna have to start all over again. And I'm just like, I personally think that the franchise is dead, to be honest with you. I think they just need to hang it up. I don't know how much it made at the box office. I know that it was kind of a split, opinion throughout, the audience, but I don't know. Me personally, I think they should just hang it up. I think we should wanted to,
Yeah, let's put it on the back burner. Maybe we can bring it back, in a
Yeah.
little bit. But for now, so it opened at 45 million.
Okay.
Total
What
gross
was the
domestic.
budget?
That's a good question.
I think the budget was probably close to 100, maybe 150. I don't know.
I mean, could be more than that. And you got to think,
Yeah.
you couldn't go anywhere without seeing that trailer.
That's
They
true.
put that trailer, I think, in front of every single movie. So budget's estimated at 100 million, but that doesn't
Okay.
include marketing. So yeah, I think that's the last of these Ghostbusters we'll see for a minute.
I think so. Do you want to just give me the other two?
Dude, go ahead.
So
do your disappointments.
my second least disappointing movie was The American Society of Magical Negroes.
Mm.
So this movie I thought had really great marketing material. It gave me a new idea, something that for me, when I first saw the trailer, I felt these kind of like Harry Potter type vibes. It felt like it was going to be just literally within the title, just a magical world and having people doing magic and this whole thing. I thought that was very innovative. But I felt like the film was too busy trying to make sure the audience wasn't uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole story of the movie is about making sure that we don't make people uncomfortable. It's okay to make people uncomfortable. It's okay to have these real discussions, right? Mm-hmm. And these real scenarios of social commentary within race in the public world and also in the office space. But they were too busy trying to still make the audience who was coming to see this movie be okay with everything that they were saying, to be comfortable with what they were saying. And I'm like, you're fighting against what your trailer and what your whole purpose and what your whole point is of this film. Mm-hmm. So I was really disappointed in the message that they were trying to deliver. And I also didn't like the rom-com aspect that was in the movie as well. The whole triangle, the love triangle that was going on. I felt like it was just forced. I didn't really buy into anything. Not to say that the whole movie is bad. There are nuggets in there that I thought was good. There's a couple of funny moments. I think David Alan Grier does a really good job. Justice Smith, I think, does a really good job. But the underlying story and the way that it's written, I think, needed to go back to the drawing board. There's a really, really good moment, a really good speech by Justice Smith at the end that I was like, there is the piece that we were missing. And that's what it should have been there from the very beginning and just stayed there. Because I felt like that moment at the end, if you've seen the film, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, that speech that he delivers is exactly what the director was trying to convey. Mm-hmm. But he didn't do a good job of doing that throughout the rest of the film. So it was very disappointing to me because I really had high hopes for it. Like I said, I felt like it was a new type of film that they could have expanded this thing and really given us something that was magical, something creative, and it just kind of fell flat. So
I agree. From the trailer, I was hoping for a lot, but I feel they oversold, underdelivered, and played just way too safe.
Yep.
Like, guys, when you're dealing with a movie where you're trying to like confront some of these race things, you got to be all in or not even do it.
Exactly.
Then you end up with something that's just kind of like this at the end.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my number two. And my number one disappointment film of the year so far is the movie If with Ryan Reynolds. And I feel like we may have talked about this in a conversation, but this movie, the genre, the story is totally something suited for me. Mm-hmm. It felt like something like a Roger Rabbit type of thing. Mm-hmm. It felt like a very endearing film about family. It felt like it was going to pull on your heartstrings. It felt like it was going to have some big musical numbers based off of the marketing. I was like, oh, I'm so excited. I love Ryan Reynolds' comedy. I think he's great. I was ready to go. And it was not silly enough to be a kid's movie, and it was too confusing to be an adult movie. There are a lot of things in this movie where things just happen, and there's no exposition for it. There's no, there's no explanation for. And I'm sitting there going, the whole time I was going, WTF? What is happening? Why did this happen? Well, I kept saying that over and over and over as I was watching this movie. I'm like, what are we doing? And it just doesn't deliver. The jokes are terrible. I felt like you figured out the twist plot very quickly in the movie. So when you see it at the end, it doesn't pay off, in my opinion. And there's nothing. The whole point is that there's just nothing very explained to me, and that really bothered me. I felt like things just happened just for a reason, and it just fell flat. But there are moments of even emotional manipulation they put in there that I'm like, you're really trying your hardest to just make people cry or make people feel, and I was like, you are trying too hard that it feels so forced. It's not working for me. I was like, in another movie, I would have been like bawling, and that's what I was expecting.
I may or may not have cried a few times in the movie.
It just felt too forced.
Dude, I went into it with such low expectations that I ended up really liking it. That's happened to me a couple of times this year.
To do it. I think that's the best way to do it because I saw the trailer like a million times. Me and one of my friends, we went to see it, another film. We saw the trailer for like the 10th or 15th time. I was like, wasn't this supposed to come out like a year ago? I was like, why are we still seeing the same trailer? And so I was ready, and when it delivered, I just didn't work.
I definitely agree with two of yours. I'm not sure on If. I need to revisit If, because I went into it with such low expectations, ended up enjoying it, but we'll see. Well, let me tell you about some disappointments, Corey.
Okay? All right.
So number 3, I got a movie that also trailer was everywhere, and that is The Monkey Man.
Oh, yeah.
Because from the trailer, like, you're expecting this super action, just John Wick type thing. And I think he's a good actor. And based on this, I think he has potential to be a good director and writer. But, I mean, most people right out the gate don't start out as incredible. No one talks about Christopher Nolan's first film. No one talks about James Cameron and Piranha 2. It's always, you got to build your career. And I think he could, but Monkey Man, I just don't feel we got that John Wick-esque thing or any insert action franchise here. So Monkey Man, kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Number 2, and this could also be my number 1 because I flip-flopped my 2 and 1 a few times. But fantastic trailer. I would put this as one of my favorite movies coming out just based on the trailer. And that is Matthew Vaughn's Argylle.
Oh, yeah.
That movie sucks.
Yeah.
Let me tell y'all. The trailer, incredible. When you watch it, I don't know what's worse, the story or the random CG, like when Bryce Dallas Howard's figure skating.
Yep.
It's bad, y'all. And there's so many good actors and actresses in it. And it's a good plot. I'll give him that. Good idea. Terrible execution. So Argylle skip. But number 1.
I didn't hate it.
Didn't hate it?
I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it.
I'll tell you this. I have a lot of things lower than it on the hate scale. So I didn't hate it, but it's just, I was so hyped. And it was just, man, at best. But number 1, let me pull the people in real quick. Guys, Zack Snyder, okay? He was like, y'all, check it. You love Star Wars. You love, all these different franchises, John Carter. You love Harry Potter. You love all that. Guess what? I'm making a film where I just take everything and put it into one colossal film. It's so big, we're not even going to do it in one part. We're doing two parts, and that's Rebel Moon. And I said from the get-go, before I even saw part one, I said, dude, release part one on Christmas, release part two on New Year's, because no one's going to care when we have to wait 4 months to see part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched part one, and I'm like, Zach, are you okay, bud? Like, do we need to talk? And I'm like, I forget part two's even coming out, like most people did. And then I watch it, and I'm like, how did this get worse than part one? And I just saw he released the Snyder Cut, so I will go ahead and tell y'all, be ready for a review come next week.
You're going to put yourself through that?
Dog, he added an hour to the first part, so the first part's now 3.5 hours. And he added 45 minutes to the second part, so it's now like 2.5. I'll tell y'all this. I watched the first 10 minutes of part one while I was like cleaning yesterday, and I had to pause it because I'm like, I need to watch this where I can take notes. Wow. Have you seen part one?
I haven't seen any of it.
Okay, don't.
I think I may have seen the trailer one time, but I've just heard so many horrible things about it. I was like, I'm not going to.
I will do it for you.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you this, in just the first 10 minutes alone, we get a new opening scene where Ed Skeen and his army are like butchering a planet. They're just killing everybody. And then they're like, the women, they're like stripping nude and branding them in the chest. I'm like, where did all this nudity come from? And then like a little monkey runs into a horde of soldiers and blows up. And then we cut to what I thought was a scene from the first one, and it is, but he added a whole speech about like the leader of this village telling his villagers to have sex. And I'm like, Zach, do we need to talk, bud? Like, what is happening? Dude. So, guys, just be prepared, because I went pretty hard on part one and part two, but these Snyder cuts seem like they're unhinged. So, I'm very excited.
Sometimes there's those films where, like, they get on a platform, a streaming platform like Netflix or something, and they're a really big director that Netflix gives them carte blanche to kind of just do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't always work in their favor.
I think if he wants people to talk about it, I think that's going to do it. Sure. If he wants people to rate it decent, though, because, we'll see, though. We'll see. But just so y'all know, I'm going to take the bullet and watch almost 6 hours.
You're a good man, Evo.
I'm a man.
You're a good man.
But, Corey, we've heard disappointments. But what I want to know, what, as of today, are your 3 worst films of the year?
Time to take out the trash, y'all. It's time to take out the trash. These are movies that should not exist.
I agree with that with my 3.
Yeah, these are. We're probably going to disagree on one of these. I know for sure on one. I believe that we disagree. But oh my God, I've seen so many bad movies this year. I really have.
It was hard to narrow down to 3.
It really was. I had to think about it. I was like, which ones really bothered me the most? Which ones did I really like go, okay, in another world, I would typically walk out of this movie.
Yep.
I don't walk out of movies.
Same.
I would typically walk out of this movie. I would typically turn it off or say, you know what, I'm not going to even use my A-list to go see this movie. But I take a chance on everything. So my number 3 worst movie of the year so far is Drive Away Dolls.
That's fair.
I felt like that plot goes nowhere.
Same.
I felt like there was no chemistry between the 2 leads.
Same.
It's forced. It's raunchy without any kind of reason.
It is unexpectedly, for me, raunchy.
Absolutely. In
Yeah.
the very first, like, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
What are we? What is it? You know me, and you know my
Mhm.
relationship with A24.
Yeah.
I totally thought this was an A24 movie within the first
Hey,
2 minutes.
yo, so with the amount of nudity, sexual stuff, sex, all of
Yeah,
that,
violence,
yeah,
all of it.
it could pass for an A24 film, or at least Neon.
Totally. Or Neon. Or Neon. I was thinking the exact same thing because they're right up there with A24.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like it's shock value, just because, and there are like scenes of like the psychedelic images that were going on, and none of the characters were even under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And I'm like, what is the
Let me tell
point?
you, the psychedelic thing, if the movie didn't have that, I would be like, okay, whatever, that was kind of a bad movie. But
Yeah,
they do it 4 or 5 times, and the payoff for wasting precious minutes of my life
yep,
4 or 5 times is not worth it.
yep, absolutely. I'm like, what are we doing here? And I just kept saying to myself, I feel like the wrong Coen brother directed this movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's a good one and a bad one. And obviously, we know which one's the good.
Yeah, we know which one's which.
Yeah, yeah. So that movie's terrible. That movie was really bad. My second one was Lisa Frankenstein.
I actually like this movie.
See, I knew you were gonna say that. Dude, I was so bored with this movie. Again, you've heard me say this before. There are two genres that are the most difficult and most subjective, which is horror and comedy.
Yeah.
And this movie is supposed to have a little bit of both, more on the comedy side than the horror side.
Mm-hmm.
It was not funny at all to me. Again, I didn't feel the chemistry or the love connection between the two. I felt like it was a ripoff of something that Tim Burton would possibly do.
It did definitely have the Tim Burton-esque things.
Yeah, and getting to like the 1980s type of feel and all, and it just was not working. It was very messy, and it was very incoherent. I also felt like they didn't the rules that they set up and the world that they set up with him, the Frankenstein character coming back to life, they just didn't follow. They just kind of just did whatever they wanted to do to progress the story, and it just didn't work for me.
I think because this is another one I need to rewatch because I gave it like a 3.5 when I saw it.
Yeah.
But it was mostly I just love Catherine Newton and all her stupid little stuff she was doing in the movie. Mm-hmm. I thought was so extra that it made me laugh. But I will rewatch it for my boy.
I thought about turning on in the background just to see, if I felt the same way. Because I think it's on Peacock. I'm not really sure, but I think it's on Peacock. Because I gave it a half star when I saw it the first time. Yeah. I'm not sure that I'm going to change that, but I might. We'll see.
You never know.
You never know. Now, this film is on everybody's at least top 5 worst movies of the year. It's not number one on 90% of people's top worst movies.
If it's the one I think it is, it's not my top 5.
I guarantee it.
I'll go ahead and say it's not my top 10.
It's the one that everybody has talked about this year.
Except this guy.
Really?
Dude, I've seen so much bad this year.
Madam Web. Have
you
seen worse than Madam Web?
I've seen a lot worse than Madam Web.
How?
But here's the thing, though. I will say this. Because you got to remember, I watch random stuff.
I know. Okay.
I will say this.
Worse than Madam Web in under a big budget production company. How about that?
Okay, that's fair. Okay, I'm doing a live check. Yeah, I got like 15 movies lower than Madam Web.
Really?
Yeah, man. I told you I've seen some bad, man.
But under the big tent production companies, like I'm talking about Universal and Columbia. And
okay, if we go by those rules,
okay,
I think there's 2.
Okay,
Because
that's
most
all
of this
right.
stuff
That's
is smaller. So there. So see, we're good. We're chilling.
yeah.
But dude,
Dude,
yeah,
I don't
it's so bad.
I don't know what else. I don't know what to say about this movie than anybody else has ever said about this movie, but it's like some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in my life. The worst part about this movie that I hate is the villain's ad lib. The villain's ADR.
Okay, I'm glad you brought, because I was like, if he doesn't, I have to mention this because that is anyone who tries to defend Madam Web. First of all, God bless. If you, because even I, who am like, I've seen worse, I'm not defending this movie. It's a garbage dumpster. But if you can defend that, where his lips are, and then you hear his voice separately, no. Or the CG of the people at the beginning climbing trees. No.
Yes.
Terrible movie.
The costuming, like, oh my God, it's so horrible. So horrible.
Oof. Oh, yeah. I definitely agree with you on that one. If anyone says it's their worst, I'm not going to argue them because there's just nothing you can defend. Like even when I first saw it, I was trying to defend things, but I rewatched it. Yes, I know I'm a hero like that, and
Wow.
yeah, it was.
It's like I'm. This is not a spoiler because it doesn't really even matter because this movie is terrible. But the shot we get of the 3 or 4 of them in their costumes,
yeah,
that's what that movie should have been.
exactly.
It should have been that and like 100% camp. You know, just like completely balls to the wall action. Did it all in full, costume, all that kind of stuff, like a '90s superhero film. At least that would have been better than what we got. Like,
Hey,
yeah,
I think what's right up there with the people climbing the trees and his like overlay
yeah,
is the ending shot where she's sitting like this
in the
in the
chair.
chair with the glass.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, oh, sister, what are you doing?
Her fake Professor X.
Yeah. Rough times, my friend. Rough times.
Oof. Yeah.
Well, I have my 3, and each one has a distinct reason.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 3, anyone who knows me knows slasher is part of my all-time favorite horror.
Yep.
But on one sec, my freaking screen just went out. The heck? There we go. So slasher is one of my all-time things. It's my number 1 in horror, all that. And, I hold Halloween, the original one, as like one of the all-time greatest films. I hold the original Scream as one of the all-time greatest films.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get something like Founders Day, where you promise us this cool like character and give us one of the, and I've seen a lot of slasher, potentially the worst plot for a slasher film in the history of cinema, and you even had the audacity to release this in theaters, you end up as my number 3.
Founders Day?
Founders Day.
Never heard of it. Okay.
Yeah, just don't hear about it. It's rough, my guy. And that's coming from somebody who watches a lot of B, C, D films.
Yeah, yeah.
Number 2, anyone who knows me knows I hate comedy. I mean, you yourself, comedy's so subjective.
I know.
And my worst comedy of the year is Ricky Stenicki.
Oh my gosh.
Got our boy John Cena. It is example of everything I hate about modern comedies.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how many times we can use the F-bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how many lewd gestures we can do. And let's see how many times we can have people drinking. Just not bad. I didn't laugh a single time.
Yeah.
I was just like, John Cena, what are you doing, bud? You're about to retire from wrestling. Like, you're better than this. Come on now.
I heard about that film. I decided not to take a chance because just from the trailer alone, it looked like it was going to be all of that, and I was like, why do I want to waste my time?
No, don't waste your time. But my number 1 is because this is not a film. Okay.
Okay.
This should have been a 15-minute short that they submitted to South by Southwest. And that is Sasquatch Sunset.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that one too.
It's got Jesse Eisenberg in it. It's got Riley Keough. Corey, have you ever wondered what it would be to watch an hour and a half of people in Sasquatch outfits who don't talk, they just grunt and do Sasquatch things? And there's no subtitles. So it's like you're watching a faux pas nature documentary.
Really? That's what it is for an hour and a half?
That's literally it. It's just them.
Oh my God.
For an hour and a half. Oh, and that's not even the worst part. For some reason, they're like, oh, well, Sasquatch are very sexual creatures.
Oh.
So, like, there's so many scenes where they're like, they're wiggling their little things.
Oh, no.
There's only one girl one. And so they're all like wiggling their thing at her and going like,
oh no.
And there's like acts of like sexual stuff. And then it also has like a lot of really gory stuff, which I didn't expect. But just like I said, this should have been for a film festival, 15-minute short. Could have accomplished the exact same thing.
Oh my
God. Sasquatch Sunset, get it out of here.
Ugh.
Yeah. Please, people, don't do it.
And that was a theater release, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was me and one other person in the theater. And that was the most awkward walkout because we could each tell that the other didn't want to talk about it. Because sometimes like when you're walking out, like you pass something, it's like, oh, what'd you think of that? Oh, oh, terrible, man. But that one we were just like, what did we just see, bro? We just looked at each other and went, and just kept walking.
Terrible, dude.
That is my bad. But before we get into good, because we got to cleanse the palate, what is your miscellaneous pick of the week?
Okay, so this was a little hard to figure out what I wanted to put in here because, again, we had seen a lot of good, a lot of bad. But I decided to put something in this list that I feel like it's really gone under the radar. I feel like it's something that people will easily not even know that this film exists, but it should be around for people's awareness. It's called Cabrini.
Oh, yes, I have heard of this. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
It's really, really good. I was very surprised by this film. It's a film that draws awareness to a nun. I can't remember exactly what the nun's name, Mary something. I can't remember, but an Italian nun that comes over to America in the 1880s. And she really helped and brought together the first orphanage in New York. And it really talks about the immigrants and about people living underground. And she really just brings awareness and stuff like that, basically, and fought politicians about trying to create reform and create orphanages for people who are in need and stuff like that. And I think that it has great performances, great direction, and the cinematography is beautiful. They do a lot of really wide landscape shots that are just like awe-inspiring to look at, along with the amazing score that's there as well. Like, it is so good. It's not very preachy at all. I think that it just is a really good, uplifting and inspiring film that brings about hope and then also awareness to someone that you may or may not have heard about. And I think it did a really good job of where, like, even at the very end, at least when I saw it, they brought up they played a music, it wasn't a music video. They just played the original song that they made for this film by, oh God, I can't remember the guy's name. He's the blind singer. Shoot, I'll have to look it up. But he had a new song that he wrote for this movie. and at the very end, they actually put up a QR code where you could actually scan it and pay it forward and buy movie tickets or gift movie tickets to people so that they can come and see this film. So it was really trying to push awareness of this film and really push awareness of this person.
Since you agree, please consider
and I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I was trying to find it, and I could not find who it was.
Here, I can find it for you. Okay.
Is it Andrea Bocelli?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, he's an amazing artist, singer, and the song is just really, really beautiful. And I just thought it was really good. Like I said, it was very surprising, something that I didn't really expect to enjoy as much as I did. It's a really good movie.
Corey, that's something hard to follow up with my pick.
Add it to your list.
I actually did. I took a note while you were talking. I was like, okay, let me add this to the old list to check out. But
yeah.
So we go from an inspiring story about, this nun creating an orphanage, fighting off bad people, all this great stuff, to a movie about a late night host that the devil takes over.
Dude.
Because my miscellaneous pick is Late Night with the Devil. Let me tell you, this is an Evo movie through and through.
Mm-hmm.
And that starts with potentially my top performance of the year is David Dastmalchian. Because, we're used to him like Polka Dot Man, or like, he's like kind of a weirdo, or he's kind of like looks wet and gross, or he's like evil. But to see him as this like charming, over the top charisma guy, it was so refreshing. And I think this movie is just a fun time. I think some of the effects are really cool. And I think if you haven't checked it out, you need to check it out now.
Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah, Late Night with the Devil.
I'm going to add it to my list.
Dude, some really good performances. And did you ever see, back in the day, Hereditary?
Yeah, I didn't like that movie.
Well, don't worry. It has nothing to do with that. But
okay.
Do you remember how caught off guard you are when the little girl's head hits the pole?
Yep.
So they have a moment in there like this. It's not as graphic.
Okay.
But it's a scene that just comes out of nowhere. And like everyone in the theater was like, oh God. And then they're like, guess what? That didn't really happen. And you're like, oh my God. So they wanted you to really feel what the audience was feeling during that scene.
Okay.
So I really appreciate that. But we're in with a good note. So before we get into our three best, what are your three biggest surprises, from good surprise to great surprise to holy cow, what a surprise?
All right. So the way that I categorized my surprises was based off of films that they're not great. Like, these are not 5-star films.
Mm-hmm.
They're films that, for me, were very low expectations that I either thoroughly enjoyed or really, really liked. Or, again, it could be something I thought was going to be the worst thing that I was ever going to see because it's in a category or by a director or production company that I'm like, I don't like these people. And then turned out, I was like, oh, that actually wasn't really that bad. So this one's going to be really interesting. So my number 3 surprise of the year so far was Unfrosted on Netflix.
Yeah, this guy.
And I know you don't like comedies, so I would never recommend this to you at all.
I did watch it.
You did?
And
what did you think?
I got a couple laughs.
Okay, so it wasn't the worst thing that you said.
Yeah.
The reason why I like this movie, or I was surprised that I actually liked this movie, is because I didn't see the trailer. I just saw the poster and I just hit play. I was like, I want to watch something. And I was on Netflix and I was like, huh, okay, Jerry Seinfeld, he's okay. And I was like, oh, it's a big cast. So I just hit play. And I was like, is this a real biopic? Or is this just like a Saturday Night Live? type of thing, like just completely made up. And I still don't know because I didn't look up the research and find out if this was really the true story.
I did some research. It's just it's very embellished.
Okay, very embellished.
Yeah.
But what I loved about it is just how very camp it is. It is so silly. It's like everybody just went 110% and just fell into their roles and just gave it their all. And I thought it was just so funny to me. My type of humor is that silly slapstick type of humor. It's that superstar, Coneheads, Nice Roxbury, those types of things.
Those are good movies.
They're great movies. And, they're very stupid. They're very silly, very over the top. But I love them. I don't want my comedies to take itself seriously. I don't want them to be meta. I don't want them to be, trying to create a message, blah, blah, whatever, that kind of thing. Sarcastic, dark humor.
I'm not really into
that. I just want to laugh at something silly and stupid. And it totally made me laugh. Like, I really, really enjoyed that movie. And I was just really, really happy the whole time that I was watching it. So it was a big surprise for me. A lot of people don't like it. But I like it. I thought it was good.
I don't hate it.
Okay.
I just don't like it.
The second film that I have on my surprises. Okay, we're gonna bring up the studio again. You know how I feel about these people. A24.
Oh, okay.
Baby. A24. I've said this before. I have a love-hate relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
I hate their horror movies. Absolutely hate them. Maybe one I've liked. I can't even tell you what it was. But for the majority of them, I hate them. Their dramas, I love.
They make good dramas.
They make great dramas. If it's a straight drama, right?
Yeah.
Like Moonlight or, off the top of my head, I can't really think of some of the other ones. First Cow.
It was a drama?
It was a drama. Waves, if you've ever seen Waves, great movie. So I love their dramas. So this movie, I went in, had no idea what it was about. No one knows what this movie is about based off of just the trailer alone and the marketing. They do not tell you what this film is about. And I can't tell you what this film is about because I feel like it's going to ruin the fun or the mystery behind this movie. And that is Kinds of Kindness.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I was really surprised by this movie. And the reason why I was surprised is just because, again, like I said, I can't stand A24. So I went in with very low expectations, and I didn't know what this was about, that I was so intrigued by what was happening in this movie. And it's hard for me to explain because I don't want to tell people what it is. But every single act, we'll use that word, every single act of this movie, I kept going, what's going to happen next? Yeah. What are they trying to unveil? What is the mystery between each one of these acts? Because every single one is different. And I also tried to connect the dots between all three of them. And there's a header on each of these acts that tries to believe, right?
Yeah, Yorgos Lanthimos always does that.
Yes, that try to make you believe of where the connecting dots are. And I still kept trying to put the puzzle pieces together. Now, the film does not give you conclusions to each one of these acts. But there's enough there that made me enjoy the ride while I was going along. So much more than I did when I watched Poor Things. I cannot stand Poor Things.
And same director.
Yes, I know. So going into this, knowing that it was the same director and the same actress, I was like, I don't know, dude. This is not going to work. But I was really, really surprised by how much I actually enjoyed the movie. I want to see it again.
I want to see it. I still haven't got to see it.
You haven't seen it?
Dude, it never came to Columbus.
Okay. I really want to hear what your opinion is on this movie.
Oh, you'll be the first person. A lot of times if I get out something, I'm like, okay, this is a shoot Corey a message movie.
Dude, you got to send me a message where you see this.
before we get into your number one surprise, I got two things. One, I just want to say, Kinds of Kindness had an incredible trailer for their marketing.
Yeah.
Because in the theaters, they're playing like "Sweet Dreams Are Made."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the woman who like goes, "Oh," they put it at
Yeah.
a higher note. So
Yeah.
like when you're in the theater, like it like startles
Yep.
you.
Yep.
But I do have just one question because you brought her in a bad light earlier. So I'm interested. What did you think of Margaret Qualley in the film? Because she was one of the two from Driveway Dolls.
I really liked her in this movie.
Okay.
I liked all the players in this movie.
Jesse Plemons, Willem Dafoe, Emma Stone, Hong Chow, my girl.
Yes, it is a huge cast, and I liked all of them. Yeah, she does a really good job. Yeah,
okay.
She does a really good job.
But best surprise of the year.
Best surprise of the year. Same production company, A24.
Oh snap!
Yep, I got two of them on my list. I cannot believe I'm putting two on my surprises list.
This makes me happy.
Here's the thing, dude. I honestly think, this is a side note, I honestly think A24 is the best production company out there nowadays. The best one. Because they allow their directors and their creators to do whatever they want.
Literally.
And it brings so much creativity to film that you don't see from any of the big budget production companies.
Not just that, but their catalog. Because you'll have like a base drama, like I mentioned, First Cow. You'll have like an experimental drama, like Kinds of Kindness.
Yep.
You'll have an experimental film period, like Poor Things. You have horror, like Midsommar. And then you'll have like a little family film, like Marcel the Shell.
Exactly.
So it's just, you never know where they're going.
Nope. You never know where they're going. And I love that for them. So I'm proud of what they're doing, and I can't wait to see what's going to come next. But this movie was Love Lies Bleeding.
Oh, snap.
I was extremely surprised by this movie. This movie is what Driveway Dolls was trying to do.
I could agree with that.
Right? It kind of has similar premises, similar characters and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But the relationships you buy into from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien.
Yeah.
Like, you feel their energy. Mm-hmm. You feel their relationship the whole time. There are motives that Katie O'Brien, things that she does, that I feel like anybody would have done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? For her relationship with Kristen Stewart. You said that there was a moment in Late Night with the Devil where the whole crowd goes, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
There's a moment like that in Love Lies Bleeding that I was like, oh, I remember the whole crowd, the audience I was with.
Was it the scene by chance when Katie O'Brien's finally doing? Dude, I was going to bring that up. That scene is a hard watch, my guy.
I'm talking about the coffee table.
Oh.
Yeah. The coffee table.
Oh, snap. I thought you were talking about when she's on stage.
No. I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
I'm talking about the confrontation and the coffee table scene.
Yes.
With what's his name? What's my boy's name?
I know I'm blanking also, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking about, right? That scene, I was like, oh my God, it's very gruesome, very gory, and very shocking. But again, her motive and her energy that she gives off is something that's not unexpected. I mean, it's not unexpected in the sense of like someone else would feel that rage and would want to do the exact same thing, I felt that. I thought that the cinematography was beautiful. The acting, the pacing, the editing in this movie is fantastic. It really just builds and builds and builds. And I also felt like So it's not my top. I think I gave it 4 stars. And the reason why I didn't give it 5 stars is because there's still that A24 weirdness.
Yeah,
and that
like the giant girls.
Yes. So the giant girl and the scene of her on stage are
that's on stage.
A24 weirdness that I was just like, why do we need this? Like, we were doing so good. You know, yes, it was over the top. Yes, it was gory. Yes, it was violent. But, like, why did you have to add these 2 weird things? Like, I would have given this 5 stars if you hadn't done that. But it doesn't take away the fact that I still really enjoyed this movie. It's one of those things where I was like, I don't remember ever seeing Katie O'Brien before. I don't know if this was her first film, but I want to see more of her.
She's usually a side character, and she typically has short hair because she's actually in the Rebel Moon movies.
Oh, she is? Okay.
Yeah, but she usually plays military characters, and so she'll have like real short hair.
Which she did she was in Twisters.
Yeah.
She was in Twisters as a side character, and I was like, oh, and she did kind of have that military kind of feel to her, whatever. And I didn't really like her as much in Twisters, but I also didn't like the movie Twisters. I did not like the movie.
Twister go boom, Corey. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted, Corey. Twister, things go boom. I'm sold.
No. No. But anyway, so yeah, I love Love Lies Bleeding. I want to see it again. I think it's streaming on HBO Max.
About 3.7.
Yeah, it's really good.
So, I got a couple, surprises. So, me and Corey have A-list for AMC, so we can see up to 3 movies a week. So, Corey, I'm sure you do the same thing as me. If something's playing, even if you've never heard of it, you just go and see it.
Just go.
Because it's paid for. Why not? Free night.
Yeah.
So that's what all 3 of these came down to, but great surprises. So number 3 is Double Down South. This is a low budget film about like backwoods illegal pool gambling.
Okay.
Where like it's in the South and all people come from all around. It's like in backwoods Georgia. So think of like some of the wrestling shows we've been to. Yep. Think of somewhere like there. You go into the woods and there's a house and there's pool tables, lots of money.
Okay.
And it was low budget, but I was very invested in the story. It's just a straight drama. It's got Kim Coates from Sons of Anarchy as like your lead antagonist. And I was very invested, and I expected nothing from the movie. I was like, I got nothing to do tonight. Let me just go to the theater. So, Double Down South, not bad.
Double Down South.
Double Down South.
Double Down South. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm adding it to my list.
My number 2 is this one right now could potentially sneak into my top 13 of the year. But at the very least, it'll be in my honorable mentions, and that is ISS. Have you seen?
Oh yeah.
With Ariana DeBose, you didn't like it, dude. So I really enjoyed it. I liked that they showed you like all these people caring for each other, and then as stuff starts to go to heck, everybody's conflicted because you have one person who's like, okay, we got to kill those 3. You have one person who's like, they're our friends, I'm conflicted. And there's one person who's like, they're our friends, we're not doing this. And you have that for each side. And I really enjoyed it because it's just, it's from the director of Blackfish, the documentary. And I just thought that her as the lead was really good. I thought there was some other good performances and just a good Saturday night film, as I always say. But
I like her a lot. And I felt like it was interesting in the first half. I think the premise is really good, but there was some place in the second half, in the middle, that I was just like, this is not working for me anymore, and the payoff just wasn't there.
Yeah, I will say that The ending kind of, but I thought it was good. At least a surprise. But my number one surprise, and this one is definitely right now in my top 13, because I went into this just thinking nothing of it. And I had potentially the best time I've had at the theater this year. I was laughing, I was smiling, it was what you want. And it was a packed theater and everyone else was like laughing and smiling. And that is Fly Me to the Moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, this movie has no right to be as good as it is. It is funny, it is charming, and it just makes you feel good. All these actors and actresses crush it. Scarlett Johansson, phenomenal. Woody Harrelson popping in every now and then was great. Channing Tatum, top tier. Just great cast and a great time. I mean, this is all anyone should want from going to the theater, is movies like Fly Me to the
Moon. I'll tell you a story about Fly Me to the Moon. That was one of the AMC Screen Unseen that I went to. The program where, they play a movie, you don't know what it's going to be, you just know the time and the rating. And I went to see it. And usually whenever I go to those, it's completely packed when I go. And I think it's because it's only $5.
Yeah.
And people think that they're going to show like a really big budget movie. So they're like, oh, we get to see Deadpool and Wolverine before it comes out, or something like that. And I was sitting there, and before the movie started, they showed the intro with Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson introducing everybody what the movie they're getting ready to see. And about 5 people immediately got up and left.
What?
Yeah. So, like, they either hate Channing Tatum, or they hate Scarlett Johansson, or they just didn't want to see this movie. And I'm like, you came here, you paid your $5, you got your concessions. The whole point of this is to watch something that you wouldn't normally go see, and to hopefully bring you something that will you'll either like. And if you don't, you only paid $5. You're not wasting the whole, whatever. And I just thought that was so interesting to me. But yeah, I was completely surprised by that movie. It was great. It was great.
It's fun. There's no other way to describe it.
Yeah, yeah.
And like all the little stuff with Scarlett Johansson, where
her accent.
Yeah, her different accents, her different characters within characters. I'm blanking on the actress's name, but her assistant, I thought was really good.
She was really good too. I don't remember ever seeing her anywhere. Yeah.
But we have arrived. We're ending with the best of the best. Corey Tatum. If you had to name right now, August 4th, what are your your top 3 films of the year, and why? Hit us with it.
This is gonna be real easy, dude. And it's honestly, I keep looking at my list over and over every time I see a new movie, and I'm like, where is this gonna slide? Are any of my top 3 gonna slide? And they have not budged at all. One of these, my number 3, is one that you will not agree with me. There are 2 that you will not agree with me on.
Oh, God.
Okay? I'll tell you right now, my number 1 and my number 3 you will not agree with me on. Because number 3 is a genre that you don't like, which is comedy. The movie is Babes.
Oh.
And this was the first AMC Screen Unscreen that I went and saw. And I remember seeing the poster for this. I remember seeing the synopsis, but I didn't see a trailer. And when I saw it pop up on screen, I just started clapping because I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to see. Dude, I laughed from the first 2 minutes of this movie until the very end. I could not stop laughing. I feel like the comedy and the writing of this movie is so natural. It's very raw and edgy that it all works. And I think it's because Ileana Glazer, she wrote a diary while she was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And she basically took, because she wrote this movie, or a co-writer on this movie, I think that she took everything or a lot of things that were in her diary and just put it in script form. It was like, this is what this movie is. So that's why it just feels so natural to me, because it's so realistic that she went through these things and that women go through these things during pregnancy. It shows a completely different raw aspect of pregnancy that you have never seen before, you know? Everything from the epidural to all these different things, you know, I'm just like, it's just a different side of pregnancy that I hadn't seen before, like in the movie 9 Months, or She's Having a Baby, or whatever, or Look Who's Talking, or whatever, those types of movies. And I really love the relationship between her and her friend, Michelle Boutreau, I think that's how you say her name. They play off of each other really, really well. They have conversations between friendship that is so real. You know, they're not those typical tropey answers to questions that friends have. It's the very real answers to questions that friends have. You know, that when she gave her answers, or when they gave each answers to each question or scenario that was going on, I was like, yeah, that's exactly how that would happen. You know. So it didn't feel forced, it didn't feel unreal, and I really, really, really love this movie. I thought it was so funny, so good. Have you seen it?
I'm gonna check it out. It's on my list. I just was waiting till streaming because I was like, I'm not going to the theater for this.
I got you. There's some lewd humor, there's some raunchy humor, but except for one scene that I was just like, okay, this is a little stupid. This is something that you would typically see in something like a Ricky Stenicki or type of thing or whatever. And I was just like, we don't need that. But it doesn't do that throughout the entire film. So it didn't, because I don't like that either. Everything else I think feels really natural, you know. So check that out, Babes. That's my number 3. Number 2 is a movie called Sing Sing.
I've heard of this.
Another A24 film, a drama. With Colman
Did you
Domingo.
see this one wasn't this a Screen Unseen?
This was another Screen Unseen.
Very nice.
Again, I saw him pop up on screen and I immediately started clapping because I was like, I know what this movie is. I was excited to see this film. It is so well told. It is a great story about incarcerated prisoners who find reform by performing stage plays. You know, there's a lot of programs within the prison system that people use to help people focus on something outside of what they're there for, and helps them see some type of hope and something that gives them joy outside of prison whenever they get out. And this is based on a true story. These programs are real. And what I loved about this movie is that the acting is so in your face. The acting is so pure and it's so in your face that the director uses extreme close-ups. Like a lot of the film is shot from a close-up of people's faces, so you really get their performance and you really feel their emotions while they're doing their thing. 95% of the cast is former incarcerated prisoners.
Oh, dude, that let me tell you, I wanted to see this movie because Colman Domingo is
so good.
Dude, he can do no wrong. I mean, him in The Color Purple, him in Rustin.
Yes. And Rustin was the first time that I was just like, this guy, like, he just oozes personality, you know?
Yeah, dude. The charisma when he walks into the room.
Yes, and his eyes, you know, and his delivery, like, he is, like, in my opinion, my Denzel. Like, he is the guy that I'm like, I don't see that there's going to be a film that he cannot deliver in some kind of way. You know, that he has proven that he can carry a film by himself with Rustin and with this film. And it's just so well told, a really good movie that gives you hope, gives you inspiration. And it's told in a way where other films that deal with prison, they focus a lot on the prisoners and why they're there and what they did what mistakes that they made in their past, that this movie doesn't even tell you what most of these people had even done to even get there. That's not the focus of this movie.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
It reminds you that they're humans. They're not mistakes.
Exactly. They're human. They've made a mistake. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, I'm definitely checking this one out.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. I was so excited. I posted my review after, other reviews started coming out, and I tagged him in it that he liked my tweet, and I think he retweeted it or something. That I was oh my god, blew me away. Okay, and my favorite film, my number one film of the year. I'm waiting to watch it again because I want my wife to see it.
Mm-hmm.
A movie that we did not agree on.
Let me tell you, before Corey says this, what's so funny is, and I'm not talking about our personal relationship. Me and Corey were boys, playing video games at Southern Fried Game Expo, going to wrestling. Not that. I'm talking about our movie relationship.
Yeah.
We either agree or are the most polar opposite. There's no in between. There's never where we're close. We're either spot on or we're in other countries. So
we are the modern day Siskel and Ebert. We really are.
We really are. So what did you, before you say it, was I the one? Oh wait, no, you're the one who liked it, so I disliked it.
That's correct.
So what did I give 2 thumbs down to?
You gave 2 thumbs down to Challengers.
Oh, okay. Do your review.
We went back and forth on this.
Yeah, we went back and forth like a tennis match. So give me your review, because I actually rewatched Challengers and have a new review to give you.
Oh, I can't wait to hear.
So give me your review though first, because this is your number one of the year.
This is my number one of the year. It is a film that, from the marketing, manipulates you.
Yes. Big time.
Huge way it manipulates you.
Especially when Zendaya laying on the bed.
Oh my God. That scene, because I think in the marketing, they even put quotes in there, like the sexiest movie in the world. Blah, blah, they build this tension like, oh my God, this is going to be like Cruel Intentions or something, or something big like that. That they draw the people in with that hook.
It really
manipulates you. Yeah, it really fakes you out. But I loved it because not only does the marketing do that, but the movie does that as well. Mm-hmm. The entire time, the plot and the characters manipulate one another.
Yeah.
Zendaya is the big tennis player. She is the one who is tossing the ball back and forth between these 2 guys, Michael Fife and I can't remember the other guy's name, but she's the one who's tossing the emotions and the relationships between each person. She's the one that's holding all the strings. She is the one who's also manipulating the audience.
Yeah.
You don't know whether to like these people. You don't know whether to dislike these people. At least I didn't. And it's like a giant tennis match. And I was like, I'm so here for this. I was gripping the sides of my chair while I was watching this movie because I was just like, I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know where we are. I don't know if we're in the future. I don't know if we're in the present. I don't know if we're in the past. And I loved it. I loved every bit of it. I feel like the editing was amazing. The third act with that crazy gimmick that they did with the camera, I had never seen before.
Yeah, where it's on the tennis ball.
Yes. And I know that it's all CGI. I know there's other camera tricks that they did, but a lot of people don't think that it looks well done. But I personally was just blown away because I had never seen anything like that before. And it was a really good new approach that a director was trying to do. And the movie, it's I'm glad that they didn't do that throughout the entire film because that would have been really bad.
Yeah.
But it just makes you feel so many different emotions. It just you want to pick a side, and at the end you still don't even know which side to pick, you know. And I think it's very ambiguous in the way that it ends at the, you know, the final scene that's there. It's very ambiguous to do what they did. But you know, it's all about winning. I felt like Zendaya was just all about winning. She didn't care how she won, but she just wanted to make sure that she won. She got what she got, and I felt like I got what I wanted out of this movie more than I expected to get. And absolutely love it. I cannot stop thinking about it, and I can't stop recommending it to people. Just like, dude, just like go in blind if you can, and just go along for the ride. I love this movie. Absolutely love it.
So, when your boy walked out of Challengers,
Yeah.
I gave it half a star.
Half a star.
Half a star. And I went on a rant, as your boy does. You know, I'm a passionate person.
I am too.
Here's the thing, okay? And I hate to say this. I rewatched Challengers. Okay? The things that have not changed from my initial review. I still think all three of these people are terrible people.
I disagree.
Especially,
I understand what you're saying.
Especially Zendaya and the dark-headed guy.
I agree with that.
Horrible people. Okay? I still agree that I hate the director's choice to go with the tennis match theme where we're bouncing all around. It's like, oh, here's 2008. Oh, here's that 2008, but a week later. Oh, here's 2014. Oh, here's 2014, but a week earlier. I hate that. I'm like, we could have just done. I get why he did it, because to manipulate the audience, like you had mentioned. But I still don't like that, and I still hate the ending shot. Because I'm like, I don't know, man. It didn't work for me. But I am here to tell you, this was originally my worst film of the year. After rewatching it and looking at my list, and I've seen 76 new films this year, it has gone up to where it went from what would be 76 to in the 20s. Because there's one thing I keep coming back to and I cannot deny.
Okay.
The actors, top-notch quality, and the film is well made. I may disagree with how he chose to deliver the narrative. I may disagree with the characters, you know, who they are. But there's no denying the acting is top tier. The filmmaking is top tier. The, you know, cinematography is top tier. And so when I look at all these other movies, I'm like, I wouldn't tell, you know, a lot of people to watch this, because it's could be a very decisive movie with all the, you know, artistic approaches. But there's no denying it's a quality film. So just know, Corey, it's bumped up. I put it, it went from like half a star to like 3 point something, but I'm not sure where.
I'm proud of you for giving it another shot.
Hey, look, I give things a shot. That's what a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes it stays the same, but in this case, I was looking at my stuff and I'm like, this is better than Driveway Dolls. This is better than, you know, Tarot. This is better than Imaginary. This is better than all these movies. And I just can't have it that low.
It's a very divisive movie. The two guys I went and saw it with, they were totally on the polar opposites of me. And you will see that throughout all the reviews that you watch, that people, and I'm wondering if a lot of it has to do with the manipulation of the marketing material, because they were going into it expecting one thing and then coming out and it's something completely different.
I think that is a big one, because when you get to that scene, and it is not what the trailer told you it was. I think that's a big one, and I also think the constantly jumping back and forth, I think would mess with a lot of people. Because I mean, think about it. You go to a bathroom break in this, Jesus, like, what are you gonna miss?
You've lost a lot.
You've lost the plot.
Yeah,
but
it's a lot like a tennis match. I mean, it really truly is. that you can't take your eye off the ball.
Mhm.
If you watch this at home and you need to take a bathroom break, you need to pause it.
Yeah, you
You
pause
need
it.
to
You tell
pause
folks,
the
hey,
tennis match. Yeah,
hey, we're pausing this.
yeah, because it moves really, really fast,
Yeah.
fast, and there's a lot of information there. A lot.
In the span of 10 minutes, you could be in like 5 different years.
Absolutely,
But
absolutely.
but I'm glad it's still hanging in there because I know when you saw it, like you were raving about it, and I
Mhm.
was raving about it, but a different way. But I have since changed my notion.
There are certain movies, dude, that I just love the fact that there are some movies within the last 5 years that really do something to me emotionally after I see it that I like want to explode. You know, like I had an outer body experience when I went and saw A Star Is Born in 2018,
Yeah.
and I immediately went online and started just bleh, like spewing out all my emotions that people thought something was wrong with me. Like they were texting me and texting my wife going, "Is Corey okay? Because like he's saying these things like he's gonna die." Or
I mean, that was my number one of that year.
yeah, yeah. So I felt that same way about Challengers, where it just gave me so much emotion that I was just like, I can't contain it. Like,
Endorphins are running.
yeah, yeah.
So, my top 3. I'm very curious because I don't know if we've talked about these 3. Because usually when me and Corey talk the most is when we're complete opposite. Like
Yep.
I'll see his letterbox and be like,
Yep.
let me go type this way real quick.
Yep.
But my number 3, once again, this is an Evo film through and through, is Abigail.
Yeah.
My biggest pet peeve, they spoil the plot in the trailer.
Yep.
I feel like they could have taken out the trailer parts where it shows she's a vampire, and just like you see like blood and stuff like that, and people are like, what the heck is happening?
Yep.
And you could have gotten a better reaction. Because I mean, once you know that, but the young lady who plays Abigail, I thought when she gets to like monologue, because I mean, you know, she's a vampire, she's hundreds of years old. So when she gets to like dress them down and talk about, I brought you here for a specific reason. She like just shoots them all down. I love old Dan Stevens, my man. He's in it. I just thought good cast, fun time, and the little girl crushed it.
She did.
You know, right now, number 3, that one could potentially. The only one that's locked in is my number 1 because once I saw it, I was like, movies are going to have a hard time budging this one. So we're like you with Challengers. But my number 2 is Furiosa. Chris Hemsworth just being crazy. I appreciate it. But Anya Taylor-Joy, one of my favorite actresses going. I mean, Emma, The Menu, Late Night in Soho. I just think she's so good. And I really liked her in this. I really liked Praetorian Jack, that actor. And I just thought it was a good summer blockbuster. You know, explosions, chaos. You know, maybe need a little more chaos, but
it's one of those movies that I was completely disappointed at the box office.
Yes.
And I really felt like this was going to explode.
Like Mad Max Fury Road did.
Exactly. So that was really disappointing to see the numbers at the end. Because it's a great movie. Like you said, it's a really fun, energetic, cinematic film. Like,
it's very cinematic.
Yeah.
But my number 1. I mean, you know, I spent 3 years acting. There's nothing I love more on this earth than film. And so when you have a movie that not only takes 2 of my favorite humans on the planet, but combines that with this like nice homage to a, you know, film and filming even more so. And it's just everything I want from a film, and that is The Fall Guy. Ryan Reynolds, Emily Blunt, 2 of my favorites. Just a movie about stunts. You know, they tried to do every stunt here practical effects, which I appreciate. And I've seen this movie I think 4 times already this year.
Wow.
Twice in theaters.
Wow. Okay.
I just adore this movie through and through. And
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's gonna budge. Maybe Alien Romulus, but I don't know. It's gonna be a tough one.
I really enjoyed that movie too. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. That was a surprise for me because that was another movie that I had seen the marketing a lot, and I was just like, is this going to be any funnier or more exciting than what I'm seeing in this trailer? Like, I don't know, but it really held up. Like that movie was hilarious. I thought the chemistry between the two of them was really great. I love the. I think my favorite scene was when he's doing the chase down the highway and she's singing karaoke with the Phil Collins song.
Yes.
That song fits so perfectly with that scene. I love
the soundtrack of this movie. Just like good old 80s, 90s bangers.
Yep.
Top tier.
Yeah.
But dude, we've reached the end. We got our 13 movies. This week, like I said, I'm going to subject myself to the Snyder cuts of Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2. And theaters, I'm very excited because we got Cuckoo coming out. Have you seen the trailer for Cuckoo?
I want to see that. Yep, I want to see that.
Yeah, old Hunter Schafer and Dan Stevens, my man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about that. And I'm interested in the Borderlands. I never played the games.
Yeah, me neither.
But, I mean, it looks like it could be decent. Kind of gives me a Guardians of the Galaxy vibe. So that could be better.
I think the splash of color everywhere and the sci-fi of it is very much Guardians of the Galaxy and the whole team up of a group.
Yeah.
If it's just at least decent, you know, I want to just laugh a couple of times. If I don't laugh, I'm really not gonna like this movie. But I'm gonna go see that, and I'm gonna go see Trap, the new M. Night Shyamalan.
I saw Trap this past week.
Okay.
I will tell you this. I think the setup is really cool. Because, I mean, you know from the trailer. Right. Once again, what's up with trailers spoiling things? But I think Josh Hartnett's very good. And I really enjoyed his daughter's the one who plays the singer.
Okay.
Saleka Knight and, Saneka Shyamalan.
Okay.
And I liked her. You know, I buy into her as this pop star. But interesting film. I'm very curious on your view on that one. Because I liked it a lot.
I have a friend of mine who goes with me. He came up with a really good premise for what the twist could be. Because there's always a twist. Because with the marketing, we're like, again, it's kind of like the Abigail thing where we're like, why would you spoil or put everything in the trailer? So we're still thinking that there's another twist in this movie. And if it's what he's thinking, I think that's brilliant. But I don't know. M. Night is another one of those gamble things.
Would you like me to say yes or no if there's a twist?
No.
Okay.
No. Because that's where my head is right now.
Okay.
So it's like, if there's not, then I'm already going to be disappointed. You know what I mean? So, because I'm like, it can't just all be there. So we'll see. But M. Night is one of those love-hate relationships with him as well. He had some really good bangers in the beginning of his career, and then he fell off. But I really liked Old, and I really liked Knock at the Cabin? Was that his?
Yeah, Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah.
Man, me and my buddy Trey, my co-host, we actually just had a real heated debate about Knock at the Cabin, because I don't like Knock at the Cabin.
Oh.
Yeah, I just, it did not work for me, and we were getting real heated because I brought up that I rate Fast 10 higher than it. That was him.
No.
And then we just got, we got other people involved. It was just, we were just going at it, and neither of us would budge. And I was like, Trey, you're not the target audience for this. You weren't there opening night when Dominic Toretto had to gather the family. And he's like, it's stupid. I'm like, yes, that's what we want.
No.
I'm not satisfied until we get Transformers meets Fast and the Furious. I'm not satisfied, Corey. Okay.
Oh my God.
I want him to tell Bumblebee we're family, and then he hops in Bumblebee and peels out.
No.
That's what we want.
No, we don't. I'm with Trey on this one.
Okay, I'll let him know because
Yeah.
I told him he did make a bold claim though. So what do you think about this? So he said I could not find one other person on the planet that would agree with me that Fast 10 is better than Knock at the Cabin.
I could agree with that. I don't think you'll probably.
I'm telling you, man, there's going to be one person who's like a Fast diehard that will agree with me.
Well, there are plenty of Fast diehards, but I don't think they're going to agree with you that it's better than Knock at the Cabin.
They are because they're family, Corey. I've actually been Vin Diesel the whole time. I just pull off my mask.
I know, yeah.
But guys, we appreciate you. Me and my boy Corey just catching up, talking films. We had some agreements, we had some disagreements, but I mean that's what you expect with me and Mr. New Film Editor over here. But Corey, where can they catch up with your reviews and all that kind of stuff?
I post all my reviews on Letterboxd. New Film Editor on Letterboxd. You can find me there. Sometimes I share them on my Twitter page or X page at Edit Photo Gamer, so you can find them either places, but mainly Letterboxd.
There you go. Check out his Letterboxd. I also got a Letterboxd if you want to see my crazy reviews sometimes, my rants and raves.
I love it.
But guys, we appreciate y'all listening, and if you want to let us know why Fast X is better than Knock at the Cabin, or you want to let us know whose list is better or worse, there's so many ways you can do it, but let me tell you the best ways. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok, A Toast to Film, all one word, or hit me up on Twitter at film_toast. And from Corey and myself, we just say good night and good viewing.